Hello students, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to read another lessons from your English textbook NCERT, Honeycomb. Lesson number 5, and the title of the lesson is Quality. Before you read, can a shoemaker be called an artist? Yes, if he has the same skill and pride in his trade as any other artist, and the same respect for it too. Mr Gessler, a German shoemaker settled in London, is a perfect artist. Read this story to see how he devotes his life to his art. Quality. Now let's read this story. Quality. I knew him from the days of my extreme youth, because he met my father's boots. He lived with his elder brother in his shop, which was in a small by-street in a fashionable part of London. The shop had a certain quiet distinction. There was no sign upon it other than the name of Gessler Brothers, and in the window a few pairs of boots. He met only what was ordered, and what he met never failed to fit. To make boots such boots as he made seemed to me then, and still seems to me, mysterious and wonderful. I remember well my side remarks one day while stretching out to him my youthful foot. "Isn't it awfully hard to do, Mr Gessler?" And his answer, given with a sudden smile from out of the redness of his beard, "It is an art." And it is said with a German accent. It was not possible to go to him very often. His boots lasted terribly, having something. Lasted terribly meaning lasted very long. Okay. Let's continue. You can see the picture of the Gessler Brothers soft. Beyond the temporary, some essential boot stitched into them. One went in, not as into most shops, but restfully as one enters a church, and sitting on the single wooden chair, waited, a guttural sound and the tip-tap of his slippers beating the narrow wooden stairs, and he would stand before one without coat, a little band in leather apron, with sleeves turned back, blinking as if awakened from some dreams of boots. Guttural meaning harsh and grating. Let's move on. And I would say, "How do you do, Mr Gessler? Could you make me a pair of Russian leather boots?" Without a word he would leave me, retiring whence he came, or into the other portions of the shop. And I would continue to rest in the wooden chair, inhaling the incense of his trade. Soon he would come back, holding in his hand a piece of gold-brown leather. With eyes fixed on it, he would remark, "What a beautiful beast." When I too had admired it, he would speak again, "When do you want them?" And I would answer, "Oh, as soon as you conveniently can." And he would say, "Tomorrow fortnight." Or if he were his elder brother, I would ask my brother. Incense. The smell of leather is compared to the smell of incense in a church. The statement, "What a beautiful beast," you see, has been spoken with a German accent. What a beautiful beast. When do you want them? Okay. Fortnight. Brother. See, although all these words have been heavily accented. Let's continue reading. Then I would murmur, "Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Gessler. Good morning," he would reply, still looking at the letter in his hand. And as I moved to the door, I would hear the tip-tap of his slippers going up the stairs to his trim-up boots. I cannot forget that day on which I had occasions to say to him, "Mr. Gessler, that last pair of boots creak, you know." He looked at me for a time without replying, as if expecting me to withdraw or qualify the statement. Then said, "It should not have creaked." "It did, I'm afraid. You got damned wet before they found themselves." "I don't think so." At that he lowered his eyes as if hunting for memory of those boots, and I felt sorry I had mentioned this grave thing. "Send them back," he said. "I will look at them." "Jump boots," he continued slowly, "are bad from birth. But if I can do nothing with them, I take them off your bill." See, it shouldn't have creaked. You got them wet before they found themselves. "Send them back, I will look at them. Some boots are bad from birth. If I can do nothing with them, I take them off your bill." So these words again are heavily accented. Once only, I went absent-mindedly into his shop in a pair of boots, bought in an emergency at some large farm. He took my order without showing me any letter, and I could feel his eyes penetrating the inferior covering of my foot. At last he said, "Those are not my boots. Those are not my boots," meaning. The tone was not one of anger, nor of sorrow, not even of contempt. But there was in it something quite that froze the blood. He put his hand down and pressed a finger on the place where the left boot was not quite comfortable. "It hurt you there," he said. "Those big bums have no self-respect." And then, as if something had given way within him, he spoke long and bitterly. It was the only time I ever heard him discuss the conditions and hardships of his trade. "It hurts you there. Those big firms have no self-respect." Again, accented heavily. "They get it all," he said. "They get it by advertisement, not by work. They take it away from us who loved our boots. It comes to this. Presently I have no work. Every year it gets less. You will see." And looking at his lined face, I showed things I had never noticed before. Bitter things and bitter struggle. What a lot of grey hairs there seemed suddenly in his red beard. As best I could, I explained the circumstances of those ill-omened boots, but his face and voice made so deep an impression that during the next few minutes I ordered many pairs. They lasted longer than ever, and I was not able to go to him for nearly 2 years. It was many months before my next visit to his shop. This time it appeared to be his elder brother, handling a piece of leather. "Well, Mr. Gessler," I said, "how are you?" He came close and peered at me. "I'm pretty well," he said slowly, "but my elder brother is dead." And I saw that it was indeed himself, but how aged and worn. And never before had I heard him mention his brother. Much shocked, I murmured, "Oh, I'm sorry." "Yes," he answered, "he was a good man. He made a good boot, but he's dead." And he touched the top of his head, where the hair had suddenly gone as thin as it had been on that of his poor brother, to indicate, I suppose, the cause of his death. "Do you want any boots?" And he held up the letter in his hand. "'Tis a beautiful beast." I ordered several pairs. It was very long before they came, but they were better than ever. One simply could not wear them out, and soon after that I went abroad. It was over a year before I was again in London, and the first shop I went to was my old friend's. I had left a man of 60. I came back to one of 75, pins and worn, who genuinely this time did not at first know me. "Do you want any boots?" he said. "I can make them quickly." "It is a black dime," answered. Please, I want boots all round, every kind." I had given those boots out when one evening they came. One by one I tried them on. In shape and fit, in finish and quality of leather, they were the best he had ever met. I flew downstairs, wrote a check and posted it at once with my own hand. A week later, passing the little street, I thought I would go in and tell him how splendidly the new boots fitted. But when I came to where his shop had been, his name was gone. I went in very much disturbed. In the shop there was a young man with an English face. "Mr. Gessler in?" I said. "No, sir." He said, "No, but we can attend to anything with pleasure. We have taken the shop over." Yes, I said, "But Mr. Gessler?" "Oh," he answered, That. But I only received these boots from him last Wednesday week." He said, "Poor old man starved himself. Slow starvation, the doctor called it. You see, he went to work in such a way. Would keep the shop on, wouldn't have a soul touch his boots, except himself. When he got an order, it took him such a time, people wouldn't wait. He lost everybody, and there he would sit going on and on. I will say that for him, not a man in London made better boots. But look at the competition. He never advertised, would have the best leather too, and do it all himself. Well, there it is. What could you expect with his ideas? But starvation. That may be a bit flowery, as the saying is, but I know myself he was sitting over his boots day and night to the very last. You see, I used to watch him. Never gave himself time to eat, never had a penny in the house, all went in rent and leather. How he lived so long, I don't know. He regularly let his fire go out. He was a character, but he made good boots." "Yes," I said, "he made good boots." Quality is a story written by John Galsworthy. See, in this story, Mr. Gessler and his brother, they are very much concerned with the quality of boots they made. Mr. Gessler was a German bootmaker settled in London. He made very good quality boots, and they lasted very long. His boots never failed to fit. He never compromised with quality. The author too used to visit him, but only when he needed a new pair of shoes. Once the author visited the bootmaker in another pair of shoes bought from some other shop, a larger firm. He looked at his shoes and remarked that those were not the shoes he met. The author had bought those shoes in an emergency from a big firm. The German bootmaker commented that big firms have no self-respect. He spoke long and bitterly. His face and voice made so deep an impression on the author that he ordered many pairs of boots from him. During his next visit, which happened after a long time, the author once again ended up ordering several pairs. Soon after that, the author went abroad. It was after a year when he came back. The first shop he went to was the shoemaker's, Mr Gessler shop. At this point of time, the shoemaker had started to look pinched and worn. He told the author that his elder brother is dead. This time also the author ordered many pairs of shoes. Next time, when he went to Mr Gessler's shop, it didn't bear Gessler's name anymore. Instead, there was a young Englishman in the shop. The author inquired him about Mr Gessler. He told the author that he was death. He starved himself to death. He never gave himself any time to eat. He never had a penny in the house. Everything went in rent and leather. He concluded by saying he was a character, but he made good boots. He was a character, but he made good boots. So this was the fate of the two brothers, Mr. Gessler brothers, that they were so much stuck with their own ideas of quality and their own convictions or their determination towards making the best boots, that they were beaten by the commercial and successful, bigger firms. These brothers never had any advertisement for their products, so they become poor. Even though they made the best boots, they became poor, and everything went in rent and leathers, and they cannot even meet the demand and supply situation. They are kind of artists in their own standard, because they love their works as an art, as any artist would love their art. They were extremely devoted to their work of making boots, and they didn't compromise. They never compromised about the quality of their product. But death, starvations, failure, that's their fate at the end, succumbed due to their own ideology, which become a default in the modern commercialized world. Working with the text. Let's have a quick check. Answer the following questions. What was the author's opinion about Mr. Gessler as a bootmaker? According to the author, Mr. Gessler was an excellent bootmaker. Boots made by him never failed to fit. Besides, they lasted long. Although he was beaten by big firms in the business, yet he never compromised with the quality. Why did the author visit the shop so frequently? The author was infrequent at the shop because once he bought a boot, it lasted long, so the author visited him only when he needed a new pair of shoes, new pair of boots. What was the effect on Mr. Gessler of the author's remark about a certain pair of boots? One day the author remarked Mr. Gessler that last pair of boots creak, and this made Mr. Gessler mummed for a while. He expected the author to withdraw his remarks. When the author didn't, Mr. Gessler asked him to send them back for a checkout. He even said that he would not charge if he found them bad. Mr. Gessler was confident that from his own experience, or say with his keen observation skill, he could easily recognize that boot was not his product, one of his product. Rather, it was from a big firm who had no self-respect. Okay. What was Mr. Gessler's complaint about big firms? According to Mr. Gessler, the big firms have no self-respect. They do not care for the quality of the boots. They advertise their products and sell bad boots. This makes the quality shoemakers suffer. The quality shoemakers lose their customers every year to the firms. They starved while the big firms progressed. Even though the big firms had no self-respect and never maintained as much a good quality as the likes of Mr. Gessler's make or maintained. Why did the author order so many pairs of boots? Did he really need them? When the author visited the shoemaker was in a very bad conditions, and since the author wanted to help him, he ordered so many pairs of boots. He didn't need those boots. His boots lasted long. He ordered them because he wanted to help the shoemaker. Working with the language. Study the following phrases and their meanings. Use them appropriately to complete the sentences that follow. Look after, meaning take care of. Look down on, disapproved or regard as inferior. Look in on someone, make a short visit. Look into, investigate. Look out, be careful. Look up, improved. Look after, admired. After a very long spell of heat, the weather is looking up at last. We have no right to look down on people who do small jobs. Nitin has always looked up to his uncle, who is a self-made man. The police are looking into the matter thoroughly. If you want to go out, I will look after the children for you. I promise to look in on your brothers when I visit Lucknow. I promise to look after on your brother when I visit Lucknow next. Six. Look out when you are crossing the main roads. Read the following set of words loudly and clearly. Coat, coat, cost, cost, toss, tossed, got, rot, rot, blot, blot, not, not. Each of the following words contain the sound s as in sign, in the beginning or in the middle or at the end. First, speak out all the words clearly, then arrange the words in 3 groups in the table on page 80. Sieve, trash, mass, fashioned, anxious, shrek, sore, fish, portioned, ashes, show, nationed, shoe, pushing, polished, mustache. See, in the initial column, we can write sieve, shoe, shrek, sore, sure. Medial, anxious, ashes, pushing, fashion, nation, portioned. Final, trash, marsh, polished, fish, mustache. In each of the following words, CH represent the same consonant sound as in chair. The words on the left have this sound initially, those on the right have it finally. Speak each word clearly. Choose, child, cheese, chair, charming, bench, march, peach, ratch, research. Underline the letters representing this sound in each of the following words. Okay. Feature is underlined TU. Reaching, riches. Okay. First, let's go like this. Roman number 1, 2. Roman number 2, R3. CH. Picture, TU. Reaching, CH. Nature, TU. Matches, CH. Riches, CH. Batch, CH. Church. So you can underline 2. Yes, CH in the beginning and at the end. CH. Speaking. Do you think Mr. Gessler was a failure as a bootmaker or as a competitive businessman? Mr. Gessler was not a failure as a bootmaker. He was quite an artist himself. He made quality boots. But he was a failure as a competitive businessman because he never advertised his boots, which resulted in his losing many customers. What is the significance of the title? To whom or to what does it refer? The title of the story is Quality. Here, quality refers both to the boots and the bootmaker. The bootmaker had character. He was ready to die for what he believes in. He starved himself to death, but he did not compromise with the quality of his boots. All his life he made boots that fitted well and lasted long. Notice the way Mr. Gessler speaks English. His English is influenced by his mother tongue. He speaks English with an accent. When Mr. Gessler speaks, P, T, K sound like B, D, G. Can you say these words as Mr. Gessler would say them? It comes and never stops. Does it bother me? Not at all. Ask my brother, please. You have to try this. Speak to 5 adults in your neighborhood. Ask them the following questions in any language they are comfortable in. Then come back and share your findings with the class. Do they buy their provisions back in plastic packets at a big store or loose from a small store near their house? Where do they buy their footwear? Do they buy branded footwear or footwear made locally? What reasons do they have for their preference? Do they buy ready-made clothes or buy clothes and get their clothes stitched by a tailor? Which do they think is better? Look at the picture. I have decided to go abroad for higher studies. Ajit is telling this. Now Anisha replied, have you? I don't think I will ever do that. I love my country. Let peers of students talk to each other about leaving the country. One student repeats Ajit's statement. The other gives a reason for not agreeing with Ajit. The sentence openings given below should be used. If I leave this country, I will miss. You can say, my friends and countrymen. There are some things which you can get only here. For example, unity and diversity. There are some special days I will miss, particularly Diwali, Eid, Holi, etc. Chairauba, Ningo Chakoba, etc. etc. Most of all, I will miss, you can say, my mother, father, because he or she is the loveliest person for me. How can you leave your own country except when facilities of your choice are not available here? We can say that. Depends on one's intention. I can't live for good because I can't live away from my motherland. Maybe for a couple of years I can stay in another country, but I will always come back to India. So these are examples. Students can give their own ideas and fill it out. Anyway, writing. Based on the following points, write the story. Your aunt has gone to her mother's house. Your uncle does his cooking. He is absent-minded. He puts vegetables on the stove. He begins to clean his bicycle outside. The neighbor calls out saying something is burning. Your uncle rushes to the kitchen. To save vegetable, he puts some oil on them. Unfortunately, it's mustard oil, not cooking oil. What do you think happens to the vegetables? Begin like this. Last month, my aunt decided to visit her parents. And you can continue. She had to stay there for a week. My uncle was left alone in the house. Blah blah blah. He decided to do cooking by himself, but he is very absent-minded. One day while cooking, he put vegetables on the stove. He came out and began to clean his bicycle. The neighbor called out saying that something was burning. Hearing this, my uncle rushed to the kitchen. He put some oil on the vegetable to save them. Unfortunately, it was the mustard oil, engine oil, you can say, and not the cooking oil. The vegetable burned badly and got spoiled completely. Luckily, my uncle was saved from any burns. Okay. Try this. This will be fun. Thank you for watching my video. If it is helpful to you, thank you.